Continue to share. Okay, let's try this again. Can you see the volumes? Okay. All right. Apologize. I will just quickly breeze through this. These are our transplant volumes. You can see we have had very rapid growth, and 2024 was our highest volume year. Again, we are the largest adult living donor kidney transplant program in the New York tri-state area, and we have been a national leader in living donor kidney transplantation for more than 20 years. This is our surgical and nephrology team, and our mission at the Weill Cornell New York Presbyterian Kidney Transplant Program is to maximize transplantation opportunities for all patients seeking our care. Um, and this is the just the intro to living donation. There are huge advantages to living donor transplant: no waiting time, scheduled surgery with optimization of the recipient's health, the ability to preempt the need for dialysis, and the longer lifespan of a living donor kidney. Um, so living donor kidneys last longer. This is that slide that I definitely wanted you all to be able to see. As you can see, given this graph, it's about double the length of time. Um, and I just wanted to go over again the National Kidney Registry. Again, we are the founding member center. The National Kidney Registry has facilitated more than 10,000 living donor transplants, and the NKR works with a network of over 102 member centers spanning 35 states. There is a large donor pool to improve matching, and we can talk a little more about the paired exchange and the opportunities regarding a compatible pair entering, why that someone would do that, and then just a better quality match. This is the video I wanted to share. Please, Maria, just give me a thumbs up if you can hear the sound. This is just a great summary as to why patients choose to come to our center and participate with the National Kidney Registry.
If you are thinking about becoming a living kidney donor, you need to know about the National Kidney Registry. If you donate a kidney, you can still live a normal, healthy, active life. The NKR makes the donation process easier, safer, and more convenient with programs like the Voucher Program, which eliminates the problem of donor-recipient incompatibility and lets you donate on your schedule. Remote Donation, which lets you donate and recover close to home. And Donor Shield, which eliminates barriers to donation by supporting and protecting donors with programs such as lost wage and travel expense reimbursement, coverage for dependent care, and much more. If you want to become a living kidney donor, the NKR is your best option for a convenient process and the chance to help someone live a longer, healthier life. For more information, visit kidneyregistry.com/why-donate.
Okay. So I like that video because it just gives you the general introduction to the National Kidney Registry. Again, today we are going to get into the basic concepts of the paired exchange, but I do want to make sure everyone realizes that within your particular case, there are so many nuances. And so again, we will keep it more surface level today, but paired kidney exchange, what does that mean? So in kidney paired exchange, you have a donor that is willing to donate a kidney on your behalf, but you are incompatible with the donor, or you want to try and find a better match. With kidney paired exchange, your donor will donate their kidney to another recipient in exchange for a compatible kidney for you. But first, let's refresh ourselves on compatibility because it can get confusing and there are multiple levels and layers to compatibility. Um, and we're going to go over, again, basic concepts. So, number one, when we talk about compatibility, we're talking about blood type. Next, we're talking about antigen matching. And then lastly, we're going to talk about cross matching, which is when we mix the donor blood with the recipient blood. When you hear people talk about the match, that's typically referring to number two, which is the antigen matching. So let's go over those again, very basic level understanding. So blood type compatibility. When looking at blood type compatibility, we use the same rules that are used for blood transfusion compatibility. So we've all heard the term universal donor. Um, that means that you are a blood type O. You can donate to a blood type A, B, or AB, or obviously an O. But what the blood type O donors are called as well is they can only receive an O. And then there is the universal recipient, which is blood type AB. So a blood type AB can receive from an AB, and an O. So again, in terms of if you're a blood type A, um, you can receive a kidney from a blood type A or an O. If you're a blood type B, you can receive a kidney from a B or an O. And again, if you're an AB, you can receive a kidney from an AB, or O. And an O, again, as the universal donor, can receive a kidney from an O, which is why O is, it's great to have an O donor. It's a little more challenging if you're an O recipient. Um, Oh, yeah. So these are just some. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about that second category, which is antigen matching, also known as HLA matching. So each person has unique markers on the cells in their body. There are 6 of these unique markers, also called antigens, that we try to match in transplantation. Although matching can be important, it is not critical to the success of the transplantation necessarily. A donor with a 0 out of 6 match can still donate, but when we are assessing maybe a donor, if you have 2 donors that come forward, we might look at who is a better match for you and select that donor. Again, it is something that our team will be working on and discuss with you. So it's a case by case basis. But I do want to emphasize that if you have a person who is not a match, it is still okay for them to be your donor. Um, and again, that can get a little complicated, so we're going to kind of leave it there. But that's when we speak about the match. That's what the matching is. Now, cross matching is the last category of compatibility. During a cross match, your blood is mixed with the blood of your potential recipient to determine if you are compatible. This is from the donor perspective. Some people who need a transplant will react against their donor because they have antibodies. Um, when we talk about a cross match, we say that a negative cross match is a good thing. We do not want a positive cross match. And again, this is something our team is working on behind the scenes that you don't have to worry about in terms of doing anything. This is when our patients have to come in and give a blood sample. This is why, because we want to have the ability to do a cross match. If the cross match is positive, we will look at how strong the reaction is. We have an immunogenetics specialist, Dr. Dadanya, who is very involved when there is any patient who is quote unquote sensitized or has a reactive cross match. Just because there is a positive cross match, it doesn't necessarily mean the patient will not be able to donate, but it is something, again, we will be working on discussing with our experts. There may be other options. It really all depends. So again, let's discuss if you come forward and 1 in 3 people who come to our center are incompatible, what are the options? That's where we discuss the kidney paired exchange program. So, in partnership with the National Kidney Registry, we have been able to transplant over 75% of our incompatible donors and recipient pairs. Options for both cross-match and blood type incompatibility do exist. And again, that will be discussed with your living donor coordinator. There are sometimes options for cross-match or, again, blood type incompatible transplants, and that would require, again, further analysis. And there are medications and treatments that can be offered, such as plasmapheresis. Um, and again, last other alternative is a deceased donor transplant. But again, we are very committed to working with patients who have incompatible donors. So again, that is an amazing option. So, as I mentioned, 1 in 3 patients that need a transplant who come forward with potential living donors are incompatible. That means a large number of people that need a kidney have a willing but incompatible donor. Our solution is to enter the incompatible donor and recipient into a larger pool of other incompatible donors and recipient pairs. Then the patients are matched to the donors with whom they are compatible. So, I mentioned earlier, and the video mentioned, that sometimes patients who come forward with a donor are compatible, but they still are interested in entering the paired exchange. Now, you may wonder, why would someone do that when they could just accept their compatible donor? Well, there are a couple of elements to that. So, if a patient wants to find a better match through the paired exchange, they want a better HLA match because data shows that these kidneys can last longer. They can enter the paired exchange program to find that better HLA match. Um, Another option is, again, if the patient has high reactivity to the donor's, the cross match, and they are sensitized, they want to avoid the donor specific antibodies. For example, a daughter wants to donate to her mother. However, the mom has donor specific antibodies against the child's paternal antigens. These DSAs, donor specific antibodies, can negatively impact the transplant outcome. So they choose to participate in the paired exchange to find a transplant without antibodies. They don't want that positive cross match. Another option is to find a better age match for transplant. So, another example would be a grandson wants to donate to his grandmother. He's 25 and she's 70. They enter the paired exchange so that a younger person can benefit from receiving his kidney. He's 25, while the grandmother can receive a kidney from a donor closer to her age, which is a very kind and thoughtful thing to do, and it's a better age match. You could flip that in a complete opposite scenario. You have a recipient who is younger and an older donor, and we want to find a better age match for the recipient. Um, and then we'll talk about something called advanced donation, which, again, another topic in the later slides. Lastly, there's altruism. As I mentioned, being a blood type O donor is valuable. You can donate to anyone. So, a donor with a blood type O and a recipient with a blood type AB, who can receive from anyone, enter the paired exchange to allow someone with a blood type O to receive the donor kidney, since the recipient can receive a kidney from a donor with any blood type. So that is an altruistic choice. It helps move along and get people off the list. Maybe that O donor helps many people. And so, again, that's another reason why compatible person might enter the paired exchange program. Now I'm going to talk about advanced donation, remote donation, the family voucher program, and the microsite program. To the right of the screen, you'll see this lovely microsite. This is a wonderful patient of ours. His name is Michael Strong, and his microsite really took off. A microsite is a free website that you can create, and the National Kidney Registry allows us this platform. And so we do offer the microsite to all patients. If you'd like to create one, please let me know. And we'll talk about it in a few other slides. But most of you in attendance do know about the microsite program. I talk about it every single webinar, and this is just a great example. All right, so let's talk about advanced donation, ADP. And you may notice throughout this presentation, I'm using a lot of acronyms. If you find them confusing, you're not alone. They are confusing. So I'm going to often refer to them as the full name, the Advanced Donation Program. So this enables donors to donate their kidney before their intended recipient receives a transplant. This occurs through the National Kidney Registry. Why or what scenarios would you ask we would see advanced donation being utilized? This is when the donor has specific time constraints or the donors are primary caregivers for the recipient, as this gives them time to recover prior to the recipient receiving a kidney. So, for example, a husband and wife pair are interested. The wife wants to donate to her husband, but she is his caretaker. She donates in advance, recovers from her living donor surgery, and then is able to take care of her husband as the primary caregiver when the time is right for him. Another option, and another element I want to mention is the advanced donation donors also maintain integrity of a swap should their intended recipient become ill and unable to move forward at the scheduled time. So, donors who donate at the scheduled time and the recipient receive prioritization for a kidney once they are recovered from their acute illness, should anything happen. Another option similar to the advanced ADP donors is if a patient needs a kidney in the future. We don't know when this patient might need the transplant. For an example, an aging parent who knows their child will likely need a kidney transplant in the future or has a functioning transplant now and will need another in the future. The parent can donate their kidney now because they're age appropriate and it's the right time in their life, giving their child who may need a kidney in the future or more than one, because that does happen with our pediatric patients. They can donate and give the child a voucher. So that child can receive a living donor kidney transplant when, if needed, in the future. Now, if your head is spinning, take a break. Again, these are all very nuanced scenarios, and I'm giving examples to help, explain this. But if you're in this situation, your living donor coordinator will walk you through a lot of this. I just want to give these options. All right, let's talk about non-directed donors, also known as NDDs. They are also known as altruistic or good Samaritan donors. Now, these are people who have decided to donate their kidney to a stranger. Um, it is a beautiful, beautiful thing, and we are very, very, very moved by our NDDs. Now, the NDDs who come to our center have several options. They can participate in the kidney paired donation program. They can obviously donate their kidney to someone waiting for a deceased donor transplant. But most of our NDDs are within the National Kidney Registry and they donate their kidney. And the nice thing is that there is something called the Family Voucher Program available to them. Should their family members, which they can nominate up to five, ever need a kidney in the future, they can designate them. It's a great program to allow these patients who have decided to heroically donate their kidneys to strangers. Um, all the patients need to do, again, is select five family members to protect should they need a kidney in the future. Um, and the voucher holders don't need to have any, signs or symptoms. And the consent forms are obtained and the patient's names are listed, and that's how that process goes. All right. We are going to now kind of hard pivot and talk about how to become a living donor. I am only covering the very initial beginning steps because I wanted to really remain focused on the kidney paired donation program. We will do a larger presentation on living donor surgery, recovery, all of that. So, patients who are interested in becoming a living donor need to start the process by registering at cornell.donorscreen.org. That is how you kickstart and give our team the permission to reach out to you. The registration form, about 45 minutes. It's a medical intake form, and our team reviews that and contacts all patients, regardless of whether or not they are pre-screened out. Um, so all patients will hear from our team. We reach out and let the patient know if they are able to proceed and come in. We may request blood work ahead of time. It really all depends on the assessment of the donor. Patients will come in for an initial evaluation. They'll meet with the donor coordinator. They have an intake and a very full workup. They will receive education. We will also, if we haven't done it ahead of time, we will draw blood and do the cross match, which we mentioned earlier. We are also going to make sure that we check your blood type. And then, again, if there are patients that don't live close, we might do this ahead of time before bringing you in. We will discuss those results with you, usually around 2 weeks, and the team will be in communication with the potential donor. Now, as a recipient, you're not involved in this element. There are two very separate teams. They work very collaboratively, but we do keep it separate to ensure that the donor is protected and it can be a little frustrating sometimes for the recipient. Maybe they don't know what's going on when their donor's in workup or the initial starting contact point, but you just have to have trust in our team that they are on it. And trust me, if we have someone who's able to become a donor, we will make sure that it happens safely. We want to ensure that the donor is in the safest possible place. So that's why they get their thorough workup. Um, and you did hear about this within that little video, but the beautiful thing about the National Kidney Registry is there are all these protections and support pla things in place for the donor to ensure that it is a donor-driven process. Donors are offered a mentor. We have home blood draws available in case the patient isn't able to come in. The donor shield protections, which are absolutely incredible and are constantly improving, such as lost rate, wage reimbursement, travel and dependent care, kidney prioritization, living donor kidney prioritization, should the donor ever need a kidney in the future. As I mentioned, the voucher donation program, Donate Now, Protect Your Family in the Future, listing up to 5 family members. Then there's remote donation, which allows patients who don't live in New York and want to stay local to their home. They can work with another National Kidney Registry center and collaborate with our team. Donor Connect, which is the donor mentorship program, speaking with a living donor who's gone through the process. Best Match. So, again, these are for our patients who want that great HLA match. And then reimbursement again for any sort of issues. And the greatest thing I think is the local testing available through remote donation. And it's just wonderful the protections they have in place. Um, the emotional benefits, I think, that the donors feel really are so underknown. I wish we could blast this out because the donors I speak to who have shared that they have a higher quality of life after donation and are motivated to change their life is just so incredible. I mean, oftentimes our donors are healthy, active people. But I've spoken to donors who have completely changed their life. One decided to go back to school. And most of the donors really say, I wish I could donate another kidney. It is just wonderful to hear from them. So the wellness scores might be from an increased level of self-esteem and well-being. And they have, like I mentioned, improved psychosocial health after donation. Um, so one thing I wanted to mention is we do have a virtual support program. If you are interested in joining us, we meet once a month. It's open to people who are in the evaluation process, who are recently post-op. We invite living donors to join. Anyone who wants to come be vulnerable and share their story. It is a really beautiful group, and patients are very engaged, and it happens once a month. We meet via Zoom. It's a private, safe space. So I really do encourage everyone to come. Um, and again, thank you for joining us today. Our program We are very proud of our excellent outcomes and being a national leader in the living donor transplant space. And I would like to stop here, and if we have any questions, please, please, the floor is open. And I'm just allowing everyone to talk so you can unmute. And if you have any nuanced questions, again, Maria is going to be able to jump in and help because, and again, it is a very it's a unique program and it can be challenging to fully grasp. So today was very surface level. Wanted to give a very surface level overview. But if you have any questions about specific points, please let us know.
I just wanted to ask, is everyone on this call a potential donor, or do we have any recipients on this call as well?
One recipient.
Okay.
I'm a, I'm a recipient also.
Okay.
Any prior donors on this call? Okay, I'm going to take that as a no.
Um, I just wanted to just highlight a few things that I think come up often when we see patients. And I know that Eliza spoke about, we strive to transplant patients prior to the requirement of dialysis, hopefully before they need dialysis. But there are many instances where we will require, as a transplant program, that patients have dialysis prior to them having a transplant and for a short period of time, meaning a couple of weeks. Sometimes patients are uh, really nearing the requirement for dialysis, and we find that they're maybe a little bit too fluid overloaded, and it's just from a safety perspective for them. We want to optimize the recipient, so we ask that they are dialyzed prior to transplant. So I just wanted to highlight that because I know that that's very confusing, which is why I asked if there are any recipients on the on the call as well, because I know that can be confusing. The other area that I think was the donor shield. Donor shield goes into effect once a donor donates. So, if a donor is ruled out, they cannot proceed as a donor. They cannot claim donor shield, which is why we do a lot of our initial testing for living donors. So a donor registers, and we will call them within 24 to 48 hours. And we will offer, if they don't live in the New York area, we will offer that they go to a local quest, and we could start some preliminary testing at their local quest at no cost to the donor. This is a national account. It's linked to our donor account number. So donors are not billed, their insurance is not billed. But it's a good way for us to kind of screen donors as well, prior to having them come here into New York to start their testing. Because we would hate to make people travel and then, we find out that they're a diabetic, for example, and they're ruled out. So there's a lot of testing that we can do remotely, not necessarily be a remote donor, but we can do a lot of remote testing. Um, so I wanted to highlight that as well. What else? I Another question I get often, and I know Eliza did a great job explaining the blood groups. Rh factor is not a factor for organ donation. So whether a patient is Rh positive or negative is not a deterrent from them donating. It doesn't matter for solid organs. It is extremely important in blood transfusions and in bone marrow transplants, but not for solid organs. What else? What else?
Yeah, that's a great point, Maria. That's a
Yeah,
big
I get that. These are questions that I hear a lot, so that's why I'm kind of highlighting them. Um, what else did I write down? I think that was it. I think also the advanced donors, there are many ways to do that. Like Eliza explained, you have an older donor going to a younger recipient. We would encourage to go into the exchange program for age-appropriate transplants. There are work commitments. There are, life, some donors, they say, well, I'm going to get married in the summer. I really need to donate now, but my recipient is not ready. Is it okay for me to donate now? So we would offer them the donor exchange. Basically, I think what we're trying to highlight is that, we are here to try and get you a transplant, or, to facilitate a transplant, and a donation in any way possible. So
Right.
mm, that's just something that I just wanted to highlight and have everyone understand. And also, if I don't know if you could I could put my number in there.
Oh yeah, we'll put Maria's number, and I'll send that out within the group. I think another element I just want to make sure, knowing that this is a predominantly recipient-based group, is don't rule anyone out yourself.
Correct.
We leave that job to us. The burden is not on you to screen people. And if you would like counseling on how to try and find a donor, how to have those discussions, again, the microsite program is always available to you, but we can also talk about further donor search strategies, tapping into networks that you haven't maybe opened up about, how to have these conversations, because you may think that you don't have any potential donors, but there are possibly avenues that you have not explored. And like we emphasized in this PowerPoint presentation, is living donation is going to give you the best outcomes and longevity with that kidney. So it is worthwhile to try and find a living donor. And like Maria said, we want to try and allow all opportunities for that person to become a donor, whether there are constraints based on time or age, or we really don't see those as barriers. We are able to facilitate complicated cases, and it's really the beauty of our program is we don't let things stop us.
Yeah. Another area that do want to highlight is patient confidentiality. Often, and what I tell, I've been both a recipient and a donor coordinator. I've seen both sides. Often I'll receive a phone call from a recipient. My donor hasn't heard back. There's this little bit of a back and forth. I always tell them, I give them the number, the direct number to the donor team, and I tell them to have their donor reach out directly to the donor team. The recipient cannot call the donor team. It has to come from the donor themselves. Even if the donor says it's okay if you share my information with the recipient, we will not share that information. That information, we will only speak to the donor about any donor issues, and we will only speak to the recipient about any recipient issues. Once the donor is cleared, and we're going to a transplant date, and really the date of transplant is really based on the donor, right? The donor has, first dibs. Um, we will then share that information with the recipient. Donors are free to share whatever they want with their recipients, but we as a center have to respect not only HIPAA, and I tell everybody, living donation is like HIPAA on steroids. It's much more complicated. So we really refrain from giving any information. Cross-match compatibility, all of that is only given to the donor. The donor, again, is free to share that information with the recipient, and we encourage the donor to share that information. Now, once the donor is cleared, and let's say they have a positive cross match and we have to talk about donor exchange, then obviously we're going to have a combined meeting with the donor and the recipient, and generally Dr. Dadania, to have a conversation about what the wait times are and things like that in the donor exchange program. Jeanette, did you have a question?
Jeanette?
No, sorry, no, I
Oh,
didn't.
okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. No problem. No, Maria, that's a great point. I think the important element is that they're very separated teams, and knowing that the donor coordinator is exclusively for the donor And our team is again working very closely behind the scenes, but we really do want to protect the donor and ensure that um, their privacy is maintained.
Mhm.
Um,
By the way, we are two separate teams, but I'm going to unblur my background. We all sit together. We're all in the same office. We meet constantly. We speak daily. We meet with our medical director and our surgical director every Wednesday and review every single patient that is an evaluation and every single patient who has a donor who has registered, even though the donor has not come in yet. So every Wednesday we go through many hundred, a couple hundred of patients. Um, so no one is forgotten, no one is missed. I just want to assure you of that. It's just the process can be convoluted and can be a little frustrating, and we understand that.
yeah, yeah. Well, I really, really appreciate everyone joining, and I know there are a lot of listening ears, and perhaps maybe some questions will be rolling in after this webinar. We did provide a lot of information, but hopefully it leaves you feeling at peace, knowing that there are a lot of elements available to potential donors. There are a lot of opportunities for patients to get a transplant, and we really are hoping for. Oh, yes. Can you get a copy of the slides? Yes, of course. Absolutely. I do want to give everyone one last opportunity. Please put in the Q&A box if you don't feel like speaking. And if not, you can reach out to me. I will be sending a follow-up email with Maria's contact information. She's an incredible resource. She speaks to every single donor and manages the team. So please, please do not hesitate to reach out. Alrighty. And thank you, Maria, for taking time to join us today. And I'm going to give everyone 15 minutes back. Oh, please share. Oh, yeah. Hi, Marina. Of course. Absolutely.
Hi, Liza.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Great presentation.
All right, guys. Thanks. Oh, okay. Yes. Bye, everyone. Take care. See you for the next topic and next month. Bye-bye.